I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room of 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British Ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note, stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide.
As soon as it was obvious the German army had broken through, and that British forces, and of course a lot of French forces, were going to be pushed back on the coast and would possibly need evacuating, the powers that be back in the UK got this small boat flotilla organisation going. It started in a rather haphazard way, because all sorts of boats, varying from little tiny family motorboats to much larger club boats, and in fact almost everything that could steam across to the other side, were operating it at first, rather on their own. Some of them never made it, and a lot of them went to the wrong places. But eventually, they got it channeled. And then one came across lots of these little boats going to and fro, many of them with a dozen or so soldiers on board, heading back to England resolutely.
Winston rightly called it our finest hour, and it was true, but it was also our grimmest hour without question. And there must have been moments for all of us, there certainly was in my mind, when I didn't see how we were going to find a way through, just couldn't see it. There were moments when I thought the only thing that might be left for us to do would be to take a German with us into another world.
Nous avions peur et pensions que ce serait probablement la fin pour nous. Cela a duré environ 1 heure. Nous n'étions pas sûrs, car tous les horloges s'étaient arrêtées. Et les bombes tombaient. Nous avions peur. Et enfin, le bombardement a cessé. Nous avions entendu des criquets, de drôles de bruits. Nous n'osions pas sortir. Et puis, nous avions vu 2 hommes avec de drôles d'armes autour de leur corps. L'un des deux s'est approché. Il nous a dit en français « Nous sommes Américains ». Quelle grande et excellente surprise! Nous avions une bouteille de vin blanc à la maison qui n'était pas cassée. Mon père était tellement heureux qu'il a donné cette bouteille au premier soldat américain qu'il a vu.
The city was absolutely quiet. The sound of the fires had died out. The rising smoke created a dirty pall which hung over the entire city. The wind had calmed, but a slight breeze was blowing westward, away from us. That's how, standing in the courtyard, I suddenly thought I could hear sirens again. And sure enough, there they were. I shouted, and by then we could already hear the distant whine of engines. We rushed down into the cellar. The roar of the engines grew louder and louder, and the daylight attack began.
At the end of the war, there was a great hope. No one dared to use the words Woodrow Wilson used in World War I, that this was the war to end all wars. But that was the sentiment. There was great hope in the world that this would happen, that this was the last war, that the victors would now be able to cooperate in peace as they had in war.
Let us remember those who will not come back. Their constancy and courage in battle, their sacrifice and endurance in the face of a merciless enemy. Let us remember the men in all the services and the women in all the services who have laid down their lives. We have come to the end of our tribulation, and they are not with us at the moment of rejoicing. With those memories in our minds, let us think what it was that has upheld us through nearly 6 years of suffering and peril. The knowledge that everything was at stake. Our freedom, our independence, our very existence as a people. But the knowledge also that in defending ourselves, we were defending the liberties of the whole world. That our cause was the cause not of this nation only, not of this empire and commonwealth only, but of every land where freedom is cherished, and law and liberty go hand in hand. In the darkest hours, we knew that the enslaved and isolated peoples of Europe looked to us. Their hopes were our hopes. Their confidence confirmed our faith. We knew that, if we failed, the last remaining barrier against a worldwide tyranny would have fallen in ruins. But we did not fall. We kept our faith with ourselves and with one another. We kept faith and unity with our great allies. That faith and unity have carried us to victory.